Okay, we're recording.
All right. This is the control panel on the QM height gauge. If you notice, each of the buttons has a white line through it, meaning it's a dual function button. Okay, so anytime you see anything in light blue, here, and here, that just means this blue shift key has to be hit first, then that button, then whatever's in light blue, that's the feature that you'll be selecting. Otherwise, it's the top. The top row is pretty simple, on off, inch metric, plus or minus is the measuring direction, and then 0 absolute. You can change from an absolute position to an incremental position using that button. Normal on this is like escape on a computer. Anytime you're not sure where you are, if you press the normal button, it'll bring you back to an active reader display, and you can start from scratch. The rest of these are just two or feature measurements. This is the bottom of a bore if I needed the min value to my datum, and then the other is the top of the bore if I needed to know the distance from the top of a bore to the plate. Preset we'll go over, that's where you set your datum. This is a flatness call out. This circle with two opposing arrows is an ID, and obviously this is a circle with the arrows on the outside is an OD measurement. Clear will clear the memory on this. Here's the shift key, the blue shift key, to activate the lower light blue features. Hold and data, that's if you're sending data. If you got it connected to a computer and you want to send the data, you push data send. This emblem here, I refer to it as a position key, and I'll show you that when we take a diameter measurement. The gauge will read on the screen the diameter value, but when I push that button, that'll give me the position or the center line of that diameter to my datum. And then an enter key is just for entering value. These light blue features, I won't go into too much, but if I'm changing resolution, that's in light blue. Resolution can be either 50 millionths, 1/10, or 2/10. And you can scroll through. If I hit shift resolution, you can do that. So that's the basic features of the keyboard. Some of the other stuff we may pick up as I go through and measure apart. All right? So we're ready to go on. On-off button, pretty straightforward. I'm going to turn it on. As soon as I turn it on, I always have an active reader, which is telling me the probe position. All right. Do you guys have a probe calibration block?
Get a gauge block.
Gauge block?
I can. Oh yeah. The first thing that you really want to do before you start using it, at least initially, is to calibrate your probe that you have. And any time that you change probes, obviously you want to calibrate the probe before you measure with it. How do we do it in this guy? All right, Steve-O, I go up and down to get the center line. What am I touching?
I think you're further ahead too. They calibrate different with the Barney sharp.
Yeah, but I think
What you want is two parallel surfaces.
Yeah, which
I don't know if that
We
has.
can use gauge block.
If you got another gauge block, we can just
we can
hold
just
on
ring
here.
it. I can just ring a gauge block. I thought there was a way to use this one, but I can't hit.
I don't see two. I don't see
Two
two
parallel surfaces
Cold
anywhere on
plane.
there.
You just need one on the top.
Yeah, here I can just.
Because what it does is you do the top of one coming down and the bottom of the other coming up, and there's 0, and then the difference is your probe diameter. You can just hold it.
I can hold it.
Probably these here. with
Oh,
the
yeah, I
ring
can
pad
ring
on
the
those,
two,
that's
yeah,
block
yeah,
here.
Yeah, that's a little round.
That probably gives the west set we have here.
No, that'll. Okay. You have the screen. I'm gonna have you zoom on the screen when I do this too.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna calibrate the diameter, I mean the ball, the probe. So if you look on the screen, it shows a ball with two opposing arrows in light blue. So like I said, anything in light blue, I have to hit shift first, then that button. And when I do that, you show the picture of the ball with the two arrows and it's flashing. This is the only probably portion of the gauge where you need to push something that's not necessarily intuitive. We need to go down and touch on two parallel surfaces to get the center line of the ball. But you really need to know what direction the gauge is moving in. And the only button on here that has something to do with a plus or minus direction is that plus minus key. So after I hit shift, light blue probe, it's flashing, then hit the plus minus key. And as soon as I do that, it zeroes the display and an arrow shows up in that top corner flashing pointing down. So that means I want to go down to that surface on this setup I have here. So I'm going to go down to the top surface. As soon as I do that and make a hit, the arrow says, okay, now go up, come up to the other parallel surface. Boom. Here's my half the diameter of that ball. I'm going to hit enter, and now I've just calibrated the gauge to that ball. And you're ready to go. And that's, like I said, anytime you change, the nice thing about this gauge, if I shut it off and come back in tomorrow with that same setup, with that same ball, I don't need to calibrate that. Okay, it retains that. If you're chasing a tight tolerance, you might want to calibrate the ball just to make sure everything is as tight as can be. All right, so the ball's calibrated. So right now I'm in an active reader head. I can go measure any step heights or distances automatically. Most times we'll get into the key that's probably the one that you'll want to use the most is our preset key. Preset is where I'm going to be able to set my datums. And there's three things that you can do in that preset key. I push it once, zeros, and preset is flashing. Usually anytime you see something flashing, it means it wants to touch something. Okay? So normally, if I'm working off the plate, I want this to be 0. So with preset flashing, I'm going to come down with the ball, take a hit, and now I just zeroed off the plate. So every measurement I take now, we'll do something that has some relative size. This is a 2-inch gauge block. If I come down and touch this surface, 2 inches from the plate. So this is 0. Pretty accurate gauge. All right. So now distances, no matter where I am in the range, I can come and touch. I could come and touch any surface and get a height or a distance, no matter where. We'll continue on with preset, so to show you the other things you can do here. So now I've set that as a datum. Now if I hit preset again, once again it's flashing, but let's say this time I want to set a diameter as the center of a hole as my datum, not the plate. So I hit preset, then I hit the diameter key, which is the circle and the two opposing arrows. I hit that. Little arrow comes up and says go down. So I'm not gonna sweep this bore like I would if I was getting the diameter, because right now all I'm concerned about is the center of that bore. So if I go roughly in the middle of that bore, I go down, it'll beep once. As soon as I come off, it beeps again and says okay, go up and touch the top of the surface. Beeps once, I come off, and now I've just set the center of that bore as my datum. So that's 0. So if I went now and touched the plate, it's telling me that the center of that hole is a minus 312 to the plate. Okay? So now let's say I want to go down and measure this other bore. But this, so I'm going to hit diameter key, and the diameter's flashing, and I've got the arrow pointing down. I want to measure this accurately, so I'm going to sweep the bore in this case. So I'm going to position my probe off the center line just a little bit, and I'm going to come down, turn my probe down till it beeps. Once it beeps and I hold it there, you'll see this little arrows, opposing arrows flashing. That's saying scan or sweep the bottom of that bore. So I'm going to slide the part and scan, and as I do, once it grabs the min value, it's going to beep. Just beeped, and now the arrow is saying, okay, go up and do the same thing. I'm going to go straight up, because I'm off center, till it beeps. There's my scanning arrows. I push the part till it beeps, and that's going to display the 1 1/4 diameter of that hole. Now the other key on here that's important is the position key that I mentioned earlier. So I swept that bore and got my diameter, but I also want to know, because my datum now is set for this hole, the top hole, I want to know the distance from the center of that to that hole. If I hit the position key,
That's right, 1 inch 250 center to center.
Yep.
center to center, right. And if this shows me memory. If I click this clear button, that'll clear my memory. And once again, if I hit normal, brings me to an active reader head. So right now I did 2 things in preset. We'll go back to preset. I touched the table to set the table as a datum. I hit preset diameter and then went in and up and down to the bore to set the bore as my datum. And the other thing you can do in here, if you, let's say you wanted to increase the range of this.
Oops, I missed that.
Oh,
Do that again.
okay. If you had to have an offset, or if you had a probe that couldn't touch the table, but you still wanted everything to read off the table, off the plate. So if I index the probe up here, obviously if I come down here, I can't touch the plate anymore. But in preset, and I saw a tall gauge block somewhere, did I bring it over here? So, oh, just put it over there. Just something that I can reach with
And
this.
you put one on top of it, yeah.
Can I reach that? Nope.
Put that 1 inch on top of it, would be all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll work.
this will work. What was this?
Probably
4 inch?
Probably 4. By the looks of it.
Well, looks it, and this is 1 inch. So I'm not here somewhere. Yeah, this is 1 inch. So, can I reach that? So 1 inch, 4 inch. So I have a 4 inch or a 5 inch stack here of gauge blocks. So in preset, using on the bottom of this, now that I'm in preset, the thing that's active are these arrow keys. So if I hit the right arrow, it'll come over and plus is flashing. And if I go again, I'm going to slowly move over number to number. I'm going to go all the way over here. I'm going to enter now using the up and down key to bring a value. We put 5 inches on this gauge block stack. So I'm going to scroll now all the way out till preset is flashing again. So as I said, remember I said when preset's flashing, usually wants me to touch something. So I'm going to go down now, and I'm going to touch that 5 inch stack. Boom. So now what I did is I basically put an offset into the gauge for 5 inches. So everything it reads now up is going to compensate, add that 5 inch in from the plate. So now my measurements are all still going to be from this surface. So if I went to a 6, is that a known value or?
Well, I don't know if it's known,
Yeah, but yeah, it'll give me, so now when I come and touch the top of this surface, whatever that, I didn't measure the height before, but 8 inches, which looks about right, to the plate. If we get
Right
it's a
there.
little more accurate.
That's why they are.
And that's about what? I got 5 and 3, 8,
4.
5 and 4, 9 inches. That looks about right. So now we'll come down
Yep, right dead on.
dead on 9 inches. So that's compensating for the fact that I can't touch the surface to get that datum, but now my measurements are still off of what I consider to be my datum. So in preset, I just did 3 things just to go over. So I hit preset. Now that offset's in there. It's always going to be in there. If I hit clear in preset, takes that away. Now preset's flashing, so I can do one of those 3 functions that I just showed you. I can hit preset and just go set off the plate and have the plate as datum. I can hit preset diameter, go into a bore, go up and down, set a bore as a datum, or I can put an offset value, hit preset, enter an offset value. And those are the 3 ways that you can use the preset value. The other button on this gauge right now, on the face, you'll see ABS, absolute. That means I'm in an absolute mode. If I push or if I just push that button, incremental shows up, which means I can set an incremental datum. Right now, this is my datum in absolute. In incremental, it's flashing once again. If I come over now and touch this, you know, so let's say this was a part, and the top of this, instead of the plate being its datum, the top of this surface was really a datum, and I needed to know that distance from this is my datum to another feature. In incremental, while it's flashing, I can come down, touch that, and it's 0 now. So in incremental, I just said this is my datum. So if I slid over to another feature in the part and hit that, now I know that from this datum to this surface is minus 3 inches in an incremental datum. Now if I push and hold that 0 ABS button, incremental goes away, ABS comes back, absolute. If I come down to the plate, right back to 0 from my plate. So that incremental gives you the ability to grab another feature on the part and set it as your datum and then go make a few measurements from that datum. Let's just go over measuring a bore again, just because that's something that people are going to use this a lot for. You know, that's my ID key. Opposing bores, I just push it. Once again, the arrow says go down. I'm going to go off center of the bore, down till it beeps and hold it there. And I'm going to slide the part till it beeps again. The arrow's going to point up. I go straight up and do the same thing. Slide the part. 1.5 inches is the diameter of that hole. Pretty nice, easy way to check diameters. I can do the same thing on an OD. If I had a, oh, there we go. Yeah, put in the V block, that's a good idea.
Slide that, yeah.
Oops.
Slide that big plate out of the way, though.
Alright, so on the, doing an OD is very similar. Here's my key, shows a shaft with an arrow on the top and an arrow on the bottom. I hit that button, that emblem shows up, arrow is pointing up. The only difference really with the OD is now I'm going to come up till it beeps. I'm going to slide it, sweep the bottom of that till it beeps. Then I'm going to go position myself above that bore, come down off center, hold it till it beeps, sweep it, and there you go. There's the
Diameter.
diameter, the OD of that. sure what my datum is right now. What is the plate? The other thing that I can do on this gauge is I have the ability to check, and the emblem looks like a flatness. It's probably closer to parallelism, but what I can do with this, I hit the flatness gauge, it's flashing. I'm going to come down and I'm going to use the lock button because it just, I think, works and shows better. I turn it till it zeros. I turn this and it locks the probe in that position. Now if I slide this part, it's giving me a flatness or a parallelism of my base surface to the surface that I just scanned. All right, I unlock that, and come back off the part. And once again, normal is like escape, back to an active reader head, come down, take a measurement. What else do I want to show you? Resolution, that's something I said before. RES, that's a blue shift feature. So that is now in 2/10. If I shift res again. Why am I?
You hit the brightness, so you hit the color.
I hit the, I hit tolerance. Resolution, there's my 50 millionths. Shift resolution again, 1/10. Which is, 1/10 is probably somewhat realistic of where I would have display.
Yeah.
Putting it in 50 millionths looks good, but, you know, we got to remember what this gauge is, you know. If I can measure a tenth or two, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Anything else? What else can I show you guys? Obviously, metric inch, changing back and forth, pretty simple. What do I want to show you? Clear diameters. That's pretty much it, I think.
You're all set?
I think so.
I mean, that